political platform through which trending political news, events, and stories are discussed with stakeholders. Through these conversations, ATN uses political talks about specific issues, party system, and actor to explore hope and engender positive impacts to the society. We are open for advert bookings and commercials. You can always connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. You can always watch us live if you're on the go on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. And on to the topics. First, Edo State. Government APC clash over corruption. And then on to Adamawa State, PDP declines participation in council polls. On Benue State, Akume's Thanksgiving Council chairman disrupts. And on Nnamdi Kanu, reps seek Buhari support for his release. On local government autonomy, federal government urged dragging states to court, Okupe says. And on looted funds, recoveries returned to looters. Obono Obla says. Do not go away. When I come back from this break, we'll delve right into the show.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. POS operator, she said $3,000 is 1,000 to collect $3,000. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth. The oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, documentary. So catch all around the globe, only on ATN.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is a political analyst, George Chinda. Good morning, Mr. George, and welcome to Open Conversation.
Thank you very much.
All right. And I also have with me Associate Professor Emmanuel Warner, an Associate Professor, Department of Political Science, University of Port Harcourt. Good morning.
Good morning, Chima.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right. And on to the stories. The Edo State government and the All Progressive Congress clashed over allegations of corruption. APC's acting state chairman Jarrett Tenebe accused the state government of corruption involving a modular refinery, a five-star hotel, and the misuse of e-governance to potentially destroy vital information if the People's Democratic Party lost the upcoming election. In response, Crusoe Osage, special advisor to Governor Godwin Obaseki on media projects, accused the APC of ignorance and diversionary tactics to deflect from their candidates' deficiencies. He defended the government's e-governance system and investments, attributing project cost increases to the APC-controlled federal government's economic mismanagement. APC's Ofure Osehobo countered, labeling Osage's response as an attempt to deflect from the Obaseki administration's failures, calling the ERP system a fraud and criticizing the investment in the Radisson Hotel as a misallocation of resources. Osehobo questioned the ownership and equity shares of the refinery and hotel projects, demanding transparency from the state government. Now, let me start with you, Emmanuel. Yeah. What is your immediate reaction to this back and forth between APC and PDP in Edo State?
Well, the fact is that corruption allegations are not very new to us now, and it's part of the shenanigans of politicians who want to actually outsmart themselves in a way to score cheap political goals. But I think that at the end of the day, it's important for very thorough investigation to be carried out so that we'll know who actually is saying the truth. For me here now, I may not be conversant with the facts of the matter as to determine exactly who is saying the truth, but I think that we should have a way of trying to also unravel some of these allegations and prove it to a logical conclusion. For me, it's part of the shenanigans of politicians who want to outsmart one another.
Well, you think that the PDP-led government, the spokesperson of Governor Obaseki Osage came out to accuse the APC of diversionary tactics to deflect from their candidates, according to him, the APC candidates' deficiencies, as the case may be. Would you agree with him that that is what is going on, since you said it's political shenanigans going on between both camps?
Well, like I said, I don't have the facts of the matter. I don't actually have what the facts are on the other side. So I may not say exactly what is the true position for now. But I think that is something that they need to actually sort out, and then we need to have the facts of the matter before us to know exactly who is saying the truth or who is not saying the truth. But I think that it's one of those things in the political landscape of Nigeria where politicians, accuse themselves and then just to score cheap political goals.
Interesting, cheap political goals. What is your take, Mr. George?
Okay, like the Associate Prof said, what you see playing out today is permissible within the political system, especially during the electioneering campaign. People will accuse and there will be counter-accusations all geared towards swaying the voters into voting them. The issue of corruption, we have the EFCC and other anti-graft agencies that are saddled with the responsibility of investigating to ascertain the veracity of the claim. It is not for we to sit here without being armed with all the facts to begin to say, okay, this is actually the truth or not. And again, I want to say that there is something that is lacking in recent time in the development of Nigeria. The media, which is the fourth estate of the realm, I think are not playing their role as they should be doing. Back in the days, we used to have investigative journalists who we actually unravel some of these things and blow it out for the public to know. But today, it appears that that aspect of investigation by the media has taken a backseat. So we are not actually until the anti-graft agencies wading into the matter. The issue here now is that there is actually an accusation of corruption. There's actually something that's the issue of Radisson Hotel and things like that. It is for the agency, anti-graft agency, to wade in, investigate, and find out actually if there was the issue of corruption and all of that. And whoever that is, the corporate should be, made to answer for it.
When you say the corporate should be made to answer for it, I mean, over time, the opposition of different states, as the case may be, even at the federal level, has come out to blow whistles while engaging the ruling party at different tiers of government. However, with all the information the opposition have brought out, how many would you say the anti-graft agencies have actually built upon to investigate and prosecute? Now, when you also say the anti-corruption, anti-graft agencies should make offenders answer, how many convictions can the anti-graft agency boast of? How many court cases have been laid dormant unanswered to?
Okay.
Would you say that anti-graft agencies actually are doing the right thing, or they are doing their best, as the case may be?
Well, even the anti-graft agencies we are talking about are all product of the Nigerian society, which on its own is corrupt. So it's quite difficult for them, even when some of them actually wants to work, but the powers that be hinders that aspect of their work. That is where the system needs to be effective, differently from the leadership of the country. If we have an effective and running system where their job functions is well cut out, spelled out in the Constitution, and nobody, can actually stop their job, because some of these things are in the funding. When some of these agencies don't get a first-line charge from the Federation account, it becomes difficult. The person that will always call the shot will want to emasculate them, because they did not do his or her bidding. But where these people get their money from first-line charge from the Federation account, where nobody can actually tamper with it, and you have some fearless Nigerians who command these agencies, you see that things will begin to work. Then on the issue of how many cases have they been able to prosecute all these years, I must tell you that the judiciary is also a part of the problem. We need to amend some of our laws to allow these people to pursue some of these cases to logical conclusion. The judiciary also is an impediment. You see some kind of people going to court to get some kind of injunction, stalling some of this, even when there is overwhelming evidence that they actually are involved in this corrupt case or the other. But due to the laws, our judicial laws and things like that, it gives them a leeway. It gives them a leeway to escape some of this issue. So I think these are some of the things that we need to carry out a reform, a complete reform, to be able to do this job very well.
All right. The Adamawa State chapter of the All Progressive Congress has decided to boycott the local government elections scheduled for July 13, 2024. Initially willing to participate, the APC later confirmed its withdrawal. The APC Youth Wing announced that it has taken legal action against the Adamawa State Independent Electoral Commission and the state government, accusing the PDP-led government of hijacking the election process. A communique signed by Khalil Sajo and issued after a meeting at the party state secretariat cited concerns about the composition of ATSEC and other irregularities as reasons for their non-participation. Mr. Emmanuel, what is your take on this?
Well, first of all, let me say that democracy demands that all the relevant stakeholders should be able to participate in the governance process. The people should be able to decide who should be their leader. So it's all embracing fact that every stakeholder should participate. But in Nigeria, given the political system, the structure, and the behavioral pattern of stakeholders, it's unfortunate that politics seems to be a do-or-die affair, where those individuals who are, participating based on personal interests try to exclude, others from participating. I know that under normal circumstances, the electoral body is expected to be neutral, independent. But of course, you consider the fact that in a state like Adamawa, the governor appoints members of the electoral body. And there is the tendency that, there will be that influence. So rather than remain independent, you find a situation where such electoral body in the state is now becoming dependent based on the whims and caprices of those who appointed them. So what they are doing naturally is to play the script of their master. And that is not expected to be practiced in a democratic system of government. So if the other party members, the APC members, have complained based on what they are doing in Adama State, I think it's also important for them to also fall back again on the judiciary. And that's the issue my colleague raised here.
George.
Yeah. And so you find out that if you also fall back on judiciary, you will find a situation where judiciary also has become part of the executive arm of the government. To the extent that, even the governors have put the state judiciary in their own pocket. So you find out that we are in that kind of political quagmire. That it appears there is no way out of it. But I think that aside from the fact that we need to actually overhaul the legal system, there is also the need for us to begin to address the norms and values. The values prevalent in this system are quite hostile to democracy and development in general. So it's important for us Nigerians to ask ourselves fundamental questions. Where do we want to be? Where are we now? And where do we want to be in the next nearest future? So that we begin to act in tandem with our expectations as a people who want to actually, achieve meaningful development. So if you also go back to the judiciary, who is there in the judiciary? So it's like a back and forth thing, and it appears there is no light at the end of the tunnel. So it is important for us as Nigerians to begin to ask ourselves fundamental questions and begin to address those problems, militating against us as a people in terms of achieving democratic process, in terms of achieving, overall development for the people. So it is important that we need to look inwards and then see how we can transform our value system, because as we speak now, the value system, which of course is a reflection of the environment we live in. The environment I mean now, in our political science, we also mean that environment has to do with prevalent norms and values. We need to reorient ourselves. We need to actually ensure that the political system is deodorized in such a manner that it becomes very, very conducive for everybody to play its role. Okay, look at the fact that in a democratic system, it requires that, there should be separation of powers, meaning that the different organs of government should operate independently. There should be checks and balances, though, but there should be kind of separation of power that will check arbitrary, decision-making and implementation in our polity. So it's important for us to do that, because if the members of APC in Adamawa, you don't expect them to carry arms to go and fight the RISEC or the government in Adamawa State. The only civilized means is to fall back on the judiciary. But unfortunately, I don't know what is happening in Adamawa judiciary. I want to believe that they are quite different.
How are they going to be different? Now, if you say quite different,
I want to believe. I just want to believe. But otherwise, it's just like going around the circle, merry-go-round. Because if they go to the judiciary, it's likely they may not get justice. And then what that means is that the wishes and aspirations of the people, the electorate, the rest of them in Adamawa State may be suppressed, which is contrary, to the tenets of democracy.
All right. Mr. George, what is your take? APC declining participation. Now, if they decline participation, none of their candidates will be able to run for the election, which means they have also, disenfranchised a lot of APC people as well from voting and participating in the democratic process. Now, on the other hand, if they take this matter to court, will the court stop this election that is already scheduled from holding? Then you look at the concerns that they have raised as a reason for declining participation, because maybe for them, their concerns may be related to that of Oyo State, the Governor Makinde. If you recall, when Oyo State had their council elections, all the 23 local governments in Oyo State, went to the polls. The ruling party swept the entire local government, all the local governments. Could this also be a concern that APC might be expressing in Adamawa State?
Okay, I want to lay the blame squarely of what is happening generally with local government elections to those who drafted the 1999 Constitution. I think they were too hasty to come up with that Constitution and made some of the blunders that keep affecting us today. And all the reviews that the Constitution, the amendment that the Constitution have passed through, I wonder why they have not really touched on that. It is true that democracy, the system of government we run today, only accept the federal system and the subnational. That is the national level and the subnational. The subnational is the state. Now, the local government administration normally should be the appendage of the states. That is ideally, based on how some of this system of government run over.
Ideally.
Ideally.
How do you say so?
Wait, now I'm talking about the system of government here now.
All right.
I'm talking about a system of government, the way democracy is run in some other clans. But however, democracy also entails the peculiarity of the people. The people, based on how they want their system to be, can also come up with different models. As long as it is the people voting, it is still democracy. It mustn't be in line with what US have. It must not be in the type of parliamentary system that the UK run, provided the people are the ones that elect those who manages their collective resources. Now, what am I trying to say? You allow the state government to form the state election management body that will conduct the election into the local government. What are you expecting? If someone is the governor, are you expecting that the person will be so true to the oath that he has taken to serve without this or that, to allow the opposition party, to allow the election to go free and fair, where any other person can come and win the election? It will be as if he's not on ground as a governor. But if INEC, that conduct the election for everybody, happens to be the ones that will conduct this local government election, you will see that the APC will not be having some reservations. They will come out there fully to participate. They will have some level of confidence in the system. But here it is believed that the person in charge of the state electoral body that will conduct that election in Adamawa State is already compromised. So for the APC in the state, they really don't have any hope. It will be an exercise in futility. Just go there, participate. At the end of the day, you lose. If they have 20 local government, it will be 20 over 0 for them. So the only way they can do what they are doing now is to boycott the election and call the attention of Nigerians that we don't have hope. We don't have any hope in the management of the election. So I think that with time, amending the constitution of the Nigeria, they should allow for INEC to begin to conduct election for the local government administration. That way people will have confidence. And they should also make provision for independent candidates. There are people, the party system in Nigeria is so saturated that some persons, let me use the word decent, politically may not be able to survive in that kind of climate. So the best thing is to allow for independent candidates. We have someone in a local government with all whatever he has going for him, popularity and that, can actually stand in for election to run for the council chairman, which, the possibility of him winning will be there. I'm not saying that INEC conducting the election on behalf of the state electoral body cannot also be compromised. But you can see that, yes, you can see that the way it will be done is quite different from the way someone who was appointed by the governor of a state. If someone is to be appointed, the mandate that will be given to him behind the scene is go there and deliver all my men. This is for you, this is for you. And you know what, like I said, Nigeria as a society is so corrupt. In fact, when you don't even want to join the bandwagon in doing what their bidding is, you can even be killed for it. As for some persons who are afraid of death, they just want to do, let me get out of this place. So it's the challenge that we are having. Let's start first by removing the conduct of local government election from those who the governor will appoint to the ones that the national level will appoint to oversee the election in the local, because after all, the constitution recognizes the local government.
All right. So now you made salient points, but however, when you were talking about the subnational, and you now said the local government should ordinarily be, if the right thing is to be done according to you, the local government should be under the state government. So if the local government is under the state government, why then can't the state government conduct elections for them? That's on one hand. Now, on the other hand, when you talk about the national body, INEC, to conduct council elections in place of the state INEC. Now, the question I want to ask is, has INEC itself been free of electoral scandals and malpractices? Have INEC conducted elections at states and federal level and there were no litigations? You would agree with me that the 2023 presidential elections was fraught with a lot of electoral malpractices. It ended in court. Even in Rivers State, there were questions around the electoral process during the election. In other states as well. So is INEC as a body free from this? So if INEC is now to handle council elections, will it make much difference?
Let me start with your last question. As regard if INEC has conducted a credible, free and fair election devoid of malpractices, I will say no. But again, you agree with me that these elections were not staggered. You can imagine just one body running an election for over 26 states simultaneously. There's bound to be challenges. Sometimes they're understaffed, sometimes funding, sometimes different.
Okay, leave funding.
Leave funding.
You want us to go to funding?
No, leave funding. I'm just talking about maybe embezzlement within the system.
I don't think funding should even come into
embezzlement within the system could also lead to, you know, the federal government might say, okay, we have given some amount of money which is adequate to run. Those within the system may hold some of those money and will not release to those who go to the field. I'm talking about Nigerian system now.
What is
leave the funding aspect. Okay. Leave the funding aside. Now, because the elections are not staggered, they may have these challenges, and politicians on their own are not the best of persons. You know, when it comes to election, they are willing to do anything, just anything. It doesn't matter whether it's against the law to ensure that they are declared winners. Now, talking about local government elections, all the states don't run their local government election at the same time. Imagine, for instance, if Rivers State wants to run election in 3 months and it is already given, within 3 months, INEC know that only Rivers State, even the INEC chairman may come down to Rivers State here to sit, to make sure that the election goes the way it is planned. You understand? So, if you have staggered elections of local government in different states, INEC will be able to run that election effectively. That is not to say that there won't be skirmishes.
But it will be greatly reduced.
Yes, because they will come here. Imagine where INEC comes with almost all the 36 state commissioners down to Rivers State. Or bring in, like, okay, since we have 24 local government, 23 local government, bring in 23 commissioners of INEC to man each of the local government, bring their EOs and everything. In fact, don't even work with those ad hoc staff. Bring in their full staff to man the election full. And they have their security and everything. The likelihood of getting some of the election process right will be there. People will actually turn up. People will see confidence in the system that our vote will actually count. And once they come, you see them line up, do their vote, also monitor. Then the media, again, will also play their role to report where there are skirmishes, where people are trying to do some irregularities and things like that. You see that the whole process, to understand, you might not get 100%. Even in UK, United States of America, you don't get 100%. You don't get 100%. You still here. You still see. Look at what happened in South Africa recently. We had water, but you see that if you have up to 70, 75 to 80% of the process more credible, I mean, it's okay. People will accept it. Even those who lose the election will see that we actually lost. Because in real time, they monitor that this election did not go their way. So it will even reduce the number of persons going to court to petition the election.
Right. Mr. Manuel, very quickly, what is the way forward to stop this from happening? Because it appears to be a case of he who pays the piper dictates the tune. And for now, that's the reality, that's the political reality of Nigeria and the states. You know, what is the way forward?
Well, I think that if you must prefer solution, you need to actually understand the root causes of the problem. You know, it's just like if you go to the clinic to see a doctor, he does very proper, thorough diagnosis, you know, about the ailment, and then prescribe the right therapy. I think for me, really, the fundamental problem we have in the Nigerian state is the fact that the actors of Nigerian state, when I talk about actors of Nigerian state, I'm talking about our leaders now, our politicians, is that they have seen the state and its apparatuses as means of enriching themselves. That is the basic problem we have. You don't find leaders who are democratic, who are civic-minded, who want to protect integrity and ensure that they render quality services, democratic services and dividends to the people. That's the basic problem. All this we are seeing now, manipulation of the electoral system, independence, non-independence of the electoral body, and all the political malpractices are tied to that root. So I want to also say that, given that root problem, is the fact that, like I said earlier, we need to talk to ourselves. We need to do value reorientation, proselytization of the mindset. We are talking about restructuring. Talking about restructuring of the mindset of Nigeria. Because, like he said, yes, there will be a reduction. But see, we have also seen a situation where the federal body has interest in who becomes, maybe they have interest with a candidate or the governor in the state, or their own candidate who is supposed to be an incoming governor. So there is a possibility that they will also align with that candidate who will use the local government structure to actually enhance his own personal interests in terms of becoming the governor of the state. We have seen cases where the local government has become instrument in the hands of political gladiators in terms of manipulation. And that is why the Constitution, for me, has clearly provided that in a federal system of government that we claim to operate, that you have 3 tiers of government, and each of them should operate independently based on the rules and functions and powers, authorities given to it by the Constitution. It is clear. There is devolution of functions and powers to the other tiers of government. And we had expected that, the other tiers of government, state and local government, particularly local government we are talking about, should be independent in exercising those constitutional functions and rules given to it. The Constitution is clear about that. But the problem is that those who operate this system are not actually working with the spirit of the Constitution. There is a marked departure from what the Constitution is saying. And it is because political actors want to actually satisfy their own personal and selfish interest. That's why they are doing what they are doing. That's why the governor in a state will want to control the local government, want to control all the local government chairmen, so that his coming back in next electoral period can be guaranteed. And he can have his way.
Because of grassroots mobilization.
Exactly, because of grassroots mobilization, whether rightly or wrongly, whether he's doing the right thing to the people or not. But because you have the number of local government chairmen in your pocket, you can be rest assured that in the next election, you are coming back. And again, that you have the control of the electoral body in the state. You can be rest assured that you are coming back. So I think that if we move away from the Constitution a little bit, there is need for us to consider the fact that, the behavioral pattern, the value system, the orientation is anti-democratic. It is antithetical to democratic tenets and principles. So for me, it is important, whether you have the federal INEC coming to conduct in a state election, like I said earlier, it's not totally, because if you say there is need for them to reduce, I wonder the possibility of reduction given the mentality of our political leaders, because they don't want to even leave one local government for you. The idea is that they have to control the total number of local government in that state. So for me, it is important. The Constitution was made by us. We made the Constitution for ourselves. And so for the Constitution to be effective and efficacious, it is also we that will determine. The value system has to be in tandem with the spirit and letters of the Constitution. So I think that it's high time we render selfless services to our people. Look at other climes. I was watching Trump and Biden during their presidential debate. those men were standing. We didn't see all those official this thing around them, maybe around the president. They were standing on their own. And I was particularly very much impressed by their, complying to the timing and regulation of the moderator. He said, your time is up. It is other person, and the person keeps quiet. So I think we should begin to emulate the qualities of leaders in such senior climes.
Right.
Let us adopt them and make it part of our own, our political system and behavioral pattern.
Right. When you talk of orientation, you were speaking in orientation with regards to the political class, the political leaders. Now, would the leaders change when they are the beneficiaries of the system? Is it a question of changing the orientation and the mindset of the leaders, which, well, that's very arguable? Or is it a question of the masses, changing the orientation of the masses understanding the power they have, even over the political class, and understanding that they have the power to bring in new people, fresh blood, that will actually work for them? Do you think the political class in Nigeria, considering the political ecosystem in Nigeria and the nature of politicians that we have, do you think there is a miraculous mindset shift can happen? Or do you look at a change coming actually from the masses and not the political class?
Well, unfortunately, the masses have also become part of the political rot in the system, because, in political science, there's what is called prebendal politics, where people support a particular leader, not because that leader is good enough, but because of what they are personally gaining from him, And again, if you also look at the leader, I think I will start with the leaders, because if the head of fish is rotted, then you can imagine what will happen to the other part of the body. But I don't know whether angels will come. But I think that if we pray, since we are prayer warriors, we should pray seriously for angels to come, because, like I said earlier, the basic problem, very fundamental problem, is the fact that our leaders see the state and its apparatuses as means of enriching themselves.
So why would they change their
so that's why I said,
when they're beneficiaries?
Exactly, that's why I said, maybe angels will need to come. Because otherwise, if you also talk on the part of the followers, like I said, we have seen cases where a group of people, a group of Nigerians have demonstrated or protested against people-unfriendly policy by a particular government. And then after the next 1 or 2 hours or the next day, you see another group of the same Nigerians who also come to say, hey, this man is the best man. Sometimes rented crowd, rented protesters. These are Nigerians who are also feeling the harsh impact of such policies. So you begin to wonder, what actually is the mindset of these Nigerians? What do we want as a people? So I think that on both sides, we need to repent. We need to politically repent and begin to have a mindset that will bring us to the Eldorado we are seeking for.
All right. Well, Mr. George, Emmanuel is calling for a political repentance in Nigeria, and hopefully that an angel might stir the waters and a miracle will happen. do you agree to that?
Well, let me say I want to agree with our associate prof here that politics in Nigeria leads to prebendalism. People always, think of what they can get from the system.
Exactly.
And that has made people to be blinded from knowing who is the best for them. But it's unfortunate that our systems are not working effectively. See, the difference between our climb and developed climb is that all the systems they have in place are functional and they are independent of the leaders. It doesn't matter who is there as the president of the United States. The FBI and other people will work independently because all the money they use and their finances are coming as first-line charge from their federation account. It is not at the whims and caprices of whoever is there as the president. What that means is that the people will do their work in line with the spirit and letters of the Constitution. But unfortunately, here we do have stronger men as against stronger institutions. So that is why politics here leads to prebendalism. If I see that Associate Prof here is a strong man politically, and I have this belief that he's going to win, and because the system itself has what we call weaponized poverty, people do not have what to, people, even those who are graduate, cannot even go and get a job anymore. It appears that everybody wants to align through politics. And I know that Prof to deliver. And Prof here understand that if I work for him, he will also say to me one word or the other. I will just align without minding whether Prof is good or not.
Exactly.
So that is like he talked about value reorientation. Yes, I agree. But it has to start with the leader. The leadership will have to show that leadership by example. The ordinary man in the street is looking for what to eat. That is why politics will keep leading to prebendalism. That is the reality of the Nigerian state. So until we have a about if an angel will come, I don't know. I don't want to blaspheme, but put about the the thing has eaten so deep into our fabric that even the upcoming ones are learning. What the kind of politics they are learning is what is obtainable today. And what is obtainable today is not the ideal politics. And unfortunately, maybe we'll have to wait for the angel to come and change this.
All right. The sudden suspension of a Thanksgiving service in honor of the Secretary of the Federation, Unongu Simon, caretaker chairman of Guma local government area in Benue State, has caused anxiety. The service scheduled for Sunday was to be followed by a grand reception. Unongo announced via radio that the NKST church in Daudu should postpone the event for security reasons and stated that all public functions require his office's approval. However, the event organizers insisted they will proceed as planned. Lazarus Asema, a member of the planning committee, confirmed the event details remain unchanged. Daudu near Makodi holds an IDP camp due to herdsmen attacks. Let me start with you. Okay. Associate Prof, what is your take on this?
Well, like I did, we have seen another manipulations or significance of politicians. That is quite obvious that the two of them, both the person who wants to have the Thanksgiving and the chairman, are operating on a different political affiliation. So you can see the permutation. And, unfortunately, security reason has become one of the reasons we now give to unleash mayhem. We are hiding under security to undo our political opponents. It sounds sweet. It's because of security reason. I mean, how can you explain a situation where somebody is going to church to thank or give God thanks? What the chairman should have done, if he's devoid of bias, he doesn't have bias in his mind, he hasn't done anything, is to mobilize security agents. What does it take to secure a cordon of a church while the Thanksgiving is going on? What does it take? We have seen maybe functions in that's Benue State, where they've organized functions and, of course, mobilized security agents, maybe for 1 or 2 hours. That can be done. So for him to hide under the canopy of security reason, I think it's quite unfair to the secretary or the person who wants to have the Thanksgiving. If he is in support of the Thanksgiving, what he should do is to work with him and then see how they can mobilize security operatives who will now cordon off that area and ensure that that Thanksgiving goes on smoothly. So for him to come and give reason that is because of security challenges, I don't think so. It doesn't mean that people in that area, there are no people living there. Is it another IDP camp, or the community has been totally deserted? I mean, there are still people living in that very area. Or is he saying that security is not also mobilized to protect lives and property in that very community? So I don't get it. And it's part of those manipulations, part of those shenanigans, permutations to undo political opponent, just to score political goal, just to have their way, unhindered. And in most cases, such moves are very sinister. They are not in tandem with democratic tenets and principles. That's the kind of politics we play in this part of the globe. And it's rather very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Somebody wants to go to church to thank his God, and you're saying it's not good because of security. So, meaning that you as local government chairman, you have been unable to protect lives and property, which you swore to oath.
Isn't he protecting lives and property by saying an event of this magnitude should not hold now? Probably information to security. The other people probably are not private.
Well, that's the and I ask
about it from that perspective.
Yes, and I ask again: are there no people from who are still living in that area? So does it mean there is no effective protection and security for those people over this period?
Benue State is rife with
no. Even in Benue State, life is still going on. This morning I heard that the governor is planning to establish a federal college of education in Goza. You know, when was it the president or now who was saying that, look, we are going to take the fight to them. Take the fight to them. So, but I think that has not gotten to that stage. Right. If you're saying that the security, I ask again, those people living in that community, are they not being protected? And again, understanding, knowing the fact that Benue State is a flashpoint for herdsmen attack. So you have put measures in place to ensure that lives and property. When this during the reign of what's the former governor's name? You know, yes, we had that federal government is always deploying troops to Benue State because that's a flashpoint for herdsmen attack. So we are relying on that. Or does it mean that they have relaxed their hand or they have allowed the people of Benue to perish? These are the areas, those states that are flashpoint. There should be particular attention paid to them in terms of security, special attention. So if you're saying that people there who are living there, they are not safe, what have you done as a to protect lives and property? Or is it so I don't get it. That's the problem we have in this.
Now, Mr. George, Benue State has been, you are aware of in fact, Benue State has been in the news a lot of times this year. The fight between Governor Hyacinth Alia and the SGF, George Akume. But moving forward, this particular development is causing tension. Would you say that the local government chairman acted in good faith? Or just like Associate Professor said, it has a political undertone, considering what's going on in Benue State?
Well, I think that what is playing out here is, a kind of maybe Cold War or political disagreement between the SGF, George Akume, and maybe the political leader of that local government chairman. Okay. So it's like trying to get back at George Akume, like the Associate Professor said here, using under the canopy of security as a cover to undo the other person. It's quite obvious. Yes, but again, you know that the caliber of persons that want to attend that Thanksgiving are not just the ordinary people, so they will be high-profile targets to the militant or to the criminals who want to strike. So probably the local government chairman is saying that I do not have, because I was not duly informed or something, I do not have the capacity to protect lives and property in this local government. Should anything happen, I should not be held responsible. But then the man that is going to thank God is not a small person. We are talking about the secretary to the government of the federation.
It's been arranged in his honor. He's not actually the one.
Okay, arranged. It's being organized in his honor.
Some people are doing it in his honor, yes.
What I'm trying to say is that such a man is not a small person in the country. So since the Thanksgiving is being organized in his honor, and the local government chairman has come to say, I do not have the capacity to secure the caliber of comment. He, as the SGF, can as well, you understand, use his contact to reach out, probably reach out to the state governor so that security can be beefed up in the area.
What's the relationship between the SGF and the state government?
This is Down to what we have been saying earlier, that if the institutions are working perfectly, if they are not being teleguided by the man that calls the shots, the case of who pays the piper, who pays the piper and things like that. If that is not the case here, that these institutions are on their own, as established by the Constitution, giving money to operate without looking at who is calling the shot, why would the local government chairman come to say, I cannot guarantee security? As long as the man, George Akume, or those who are organizing it, applied for security, the security will go there and do their work effectively without looking at the local government chairman or even the governor of the state. But unfortunately, the man that calls the shot is not even the local government chairman in this case, even though he wants to have in his domain. It's the governor of the state. So that is the challenge we are having here. We need to have a value orientation. We need to also amend our constitution. These people will be getting their money. Again, the appointment of some of these people just need to come from, I don't know, something has to be done. It must not be that particular person, because by the time you allow the state governor or the president to make some of these appointments that are so crucial, those people will owe their allegiance to him and not to the Constitution.
All right.
That's the unfortunate.
All right. A member of House of Reps seeks Buhari's support for release of Nnamdi Kanu. Do not go away. When I come back from this break, we'll delve right into this topic.
Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic.
I call for immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
Give us access to money we put in the bank. There are POS operators. She said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in the cowards and the hypocrites, which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Jack us up and down like this now.
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask go?
Because this road where they see so it no guarantee safe delivery.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so e no dey. Light o usai. The infrastructure nko e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption spoil everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No, now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, oh. Please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. We call you back.
Their behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently, make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Corruption not in my country.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we'll go block later. You remember that contract where we do that time now? They don't pay.
But first, you see the house rent with the old since. We go first call caretaker, take the money, slap am.
Beg, see, you know, say I get annual levy why they pay for club. Where me and boys they shark beer in our house, I supposed pay that one. You remember say me I tell you I go buy you motor. I go buy now.
Okay, they pay you money now. We don't they beg caretaker? Why would they beg landlord, old man, and they agree give us time? Money can't come now. You won't divert time. You said na corruption. Corruption, not in my house and not in my country.
Sure?
Sure.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring honest pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth. The oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards.
All Nigerians can come and salvage us from where we are.
Honorable Obi Agwocha, a member of the House of Representatives, sought the support of former President Muhammadu Buhari for the release of Nnamdi Kanu from detention. During a visit to Buhari in Daura, Katsina State, Agwocha apologized for the past actions and emphasized the need for political dialogue and reconciliation. He believes that a political resolution would address grievances and promote national unity. Buhari welcomed Agwocha's approach and expressed his openness to a political solution. Agwocha recently led a group of 50 legislators in appealing to President Bola Tinubu to facilitate Kanu's release through legal provisions. This initiative aims to secure a political resolution and promote dialogue and non-contentious approaches to national issues. Let me start with you, Associate Prof.
Yeah.
Now, going to Honorable Agwocha going to Buhari, is it going to change anything? When Buhari was the president of Nigeria, what did he do about Nnamdi Kanu's situation? If you recall, when he was president of Nigeria, where was Sowore, Sunday, Igboho, and co, the people that were leading agitations for their regions? Where were they? What was the state of these people? So now, if as a president, Buhari did not address the issue of the IPOB and the agitation of the East and the IPOB, as the case may be, did not address did not explore political solution to resolve Nnamdi Kanu's issue. Do you think this visit to Buhari will make any difference at all? Or is it just a political move to show Southeasterners that I am doing something good? Are politicians right now trying to, build on Nnamdi Kanu's popularity to make themselves popular among the people of the Southeast?
I think I will take your last position, because it's often said that if you must do the right thing, do it also at the right time. We have seen a situation where people want to fish on a troubled sea. You want to take advantage of something. If you go into Agbocha's subconscious mind, it may not actually be in support of release of Kanu, because I see the futility of the whole thing, just like you rightly said. Buhari was the president here for the past 8 years, and he was in charge. It would have been his position to say, okay, let's negotiate. A lot of people have said what Agbocha said now to him. A lot of suggestions have been made to Buhari when he was the president, but he couldn't do anything. Is it now that he's not in the in authority that will be to the best he can do if he wants to do anything is to maybe advise the incumbent president. But I see it as an afterthought, something which for me may not have the efficacy it is expected to have to bring about the release of Nnamdi Kanu. So it's all about people wanting also to, make themselves relevant in the system, let them see that they are doing something. Because rather than go to President Tinubu and mobilize his colleagues to go and see him, even if it means going there every day, whether he will change his mind, just like the Mordecai in the Bible was, always troubling the king. And at the point the king said, this person, you have troubled me, but what do you want? So I think that it's like placing a square peg in a round hole, and for me, it may just be an exercise in futility. I think that given the fact that, agitation, from oppressed and marginalized people like the Biafrans in this eastern part of the country, it's as a result of the 40 federal system of government we are operating. In a federal system of government, all the component units are expected to have a sense of belonging. They are expected to be carried along. The resources of the state, are expected to be shared fairly and equitably. Every component unit, every ethnic group should be carried along within the confines of the scheme of things, within the political landscape of Nigeria as a country. That's the spirit of federal system of government. But unfortunately, just like also said, Boho and other people had also that kind of, protest. Even if you also look inwardly now, there are still other component units that are not also comfortable with the political arrangement and permutations in Nigeria. And if you give them the opportunity, they will also, agitate for them to go their separate ways. So it's important for us to understand exactly why, these agitations are made and begin to address the root cause of this agitation, which of course is within the context of marginalization and political exclusion. We are supposed to have in federal system of government political inclusion, in such a manner that you have proper policies, inclusive governance, that will also accommodate all the other component units that make up the federation. So I think that for Agoha, well, on the surface you have done well, but I think that you are missing the target by going to Buhari, who was there for 8 years and could not do anything about the release of Nnamdi Kanu. So for me, it just mere show of, political relevance. At least for you to have visited Buhari is on record. But
spoke for Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes, I spoke for Nnamdi Kanu. But who knows? Were you actually determined to do that? Is that also what you are thinking in your subconscious mind? Is that what you want to achieve? If you want to achieve, I mean, if somebody has a target and want to achieve a target, you have the strategy, the target, what you want to achieve, the strategy, and you must ensure that this target I'm employing must be very, very efficacious in achieving my aim and objectives. So I think that is a misplacement of priority for him to have gone to Buhari, who ordinarily, when he was in power, should have done that, even without anybody, paying him a visit. Because a lot of suggestions have been made on political resolution of the issue. Okay? Even there was a time court ruled when he was the president that he should be released. But federal government went on appeal to set aside the decision of that court. So if Buhari had wanted to do that, why didn't you rely on the judgment or ruling of that particular court and allow the young man to go? So I think there's more than meets the eye in the whole situation.
All right. Mr. George.
Yeah.
Now, this visit, this Nnamdi Kanu's matter and the visit of Honorable Agocha to the president. Now, let's look at the administration of Bola Tinubu. They had already written to the president of the federation right now. Probably the visit to Buhari, some people might argue that it is ill-timed and it's belated. But then they have also met together with other legislators, House of Rep members to the president. It's also timely, as it were. Now let's look at other agitators, right? Sunday Igboho has been released. In fact, after the president assumed office, Igboho returned. And Sowore also is a free man. If you recall, the Mieti Allah president was incarcerated, arrested, and detained on the count of terrorism. Around May, he was also released, discharged, and acquitted. And that was very speedy, by the way. That was very speedy because everything happened very shortly. He was arrested, and a few months down the line, he's released, and all the charges against him dropped. There may be argument that Nnamdi Kanu's matter is different, considering that IPOB has been proscribed. However, there have been calls and, pleas for political solution. Do you see this current administration doing that path?
Please permit me to focus mainly on the visit of
to Buhari,
Agocha to Buhari.
All right.
For me, I don't think it's a misplaced priority.
Okay.
The visit is calling for political resolution of the issue. It is not a legal issue. If you want to pursue legally, they might not be able to get the desired results. And to say that Buhari, a Council of State member, an ex-president, whose tenure just ended a few years ago, does not have, the power to cause the change that these people are seeking. I don't want to argue that. At Council of State, what they do is advisory. They go for that meeting periodically and they advise the sitting president on the state of the nation. If he sees reason with the release of Nnamdi Kanu to douse tension, I don't think that will be a problem. All over the world, political solutions, are deployed to resolving some of those intractable, disagreements between the governments and maybe agencies and the people. Instead of going to court, which may take more number of years to determine. Let's see how we can resolve this thing. A win-win situation. They do it. That is conflict resolution. So I don't think there's any wrong in him visiting Buhari. Maybe when Buhari reigned as the president, the idea may not have crossed his mind. But with the ability of hindsight, with this visit,
there were calls for political solutions.
They are aware.
When Buhari was president.
They are aware, but due to the position that he was occupying at that time, why people we are calling, there could be other people who we are calling, do not do this. Those people may not come out in the public. So he may have been in a situation where it became a problem for him, to decide. But right now, as an ex-member who is no longer ex-president rather, who is no longer wearing the shoes, may decide to, at the Council of State level, where he operates, advise. They play advisory role to the sitting president. It's not something that they must insist that he will do. But as another, looking at the situation, if you do this may help does political tension. Look at the River South as well. Look at the Southeast, the Southeast region. That region is so important to the Federation. But because of this Nnamdi Kanu incarceration, they declare every Monday, sit at home. If you know how much that region loses every Monday, like today we are talking now, businesses are grounded in the Southeast. The region loses money, and by extension, the Nigerian state loses money.
Sometimes they extend the number of days.
Okay. Now, okay, just take for example, recently Davido married Choma, a lady from the Southeast region of the country. In a traditional marriage, in our way, the way we do things, that marriage would have had somewhere in her state of Imo State.
Of course.
And that we didn't know the number of persons, the caliber of important personalities that would have graced.
And the boost of the economic
the local economy would have boosted with the persons.
The hotel and hospitality.
Yes, but unfortunately because of insecurity, and that wedding happened on a weekday. On a weekday. So because of this same sit-at-home, IPOB threat and things like that, nobody considered going to that place. That region have lost something. The people have lost something. So I think the call is not out of place. It is for Buhari to also advise the sitting president, please see what you can do. Well, let's leave that legal aspect. Let's see if we can. It's possible. He can do that. People do it every day. Leave the fact that he's the ex-president who refused to do it at his own time.
So why would
people
he,
reach out to people for something.
Why would he push for what he refused to do?
No.
Why would he push for this current president to do
Like I
so?
said, sometimes you take a decision and later you resign that decision. You look at it with the ability of hindsight, if I had done it this way, it would have been better. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it due to maybe the idea never came, or it came, but something, overrode it and things like all those things happen. All those things happen.
All right.
And again, let me add this. Let me add this. With the kind of system of government we operate, it makes the president even to appear like a god. To see the president becomes so difficult. Leave the fact that he's a House of Rep member, Agocha, Agocha does not have the right to see. He doesn't have the access to see the president, just the same way you and I do not have the access. It is unlike the parliamentarian system that they operate in the UK, where the Prime Minister is first amongst the parliamentarians. He's seated there, everybody sees him. Members of the House see him. But here the president is excluded. He's secluded from the other cadres of politicians.
Right.
So for this man to see him, it becomes difficult. And that is the best way for him to do that, is to go and reach out to the ex-president.
Right.
He's just like an ordinary citizen like you and I. Please help me and talk to this person. Let's use this approach to resolving this issue.
All right. Dr. Doyin Okukbe, former Director General of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, criticized the federal government's legal battle against states over local government autonomy. In an interview with the News Agency of Nigeria, Okukbe argued that local governments should be solely under state control in a true federal system, deeming the federal government's push for local government autonomy as unnecessary and misguided. He believes the nation's funds should be shared between federal and state governments only. The federal government's lawsuit filed by the Attorney General seeks full autonomy for local governments and prohibits state governors from dissolving elected local councils or mismanaging local government funds. Let me start with you, Associate Prof. What is your take on this?
I think let me say brazenly, openly, that I don't agree with Okukbe.
Okay.
The reason being that if you look at Casey Ware's definition of federalism as a system of government, he said it's a system of government that has two tiers of government that are independent and coordinate, deriving their powers and responsibilities from the Constitution. What that means is that both the federal government and state government are autonomous in their own areas of jurisdiction. And each tier of government is not expected, to trespass sort of into the functions and responsibilities. They are not expected to actually plunder or usurp, that's the right word, usurp the functions of each of the government. And in our own federal system in Nigeria, the third tier was added, constitutionally recognized as a third tier of government. What that means, therefore, is that the local government is also deriving its power from the Constitution. We're aware of the concurrent list, reducer list, and exclusive list. So why did the Constitution? So what he's saying that we should jettison the Constitution, and that the Constitution is no longer having its powers and effect in our political system. I don't know whether he actually understands what federal system of government is all about, or it's just being blindfolded by political interest. Because if you look at it, local government is expected, because there is devolution of functions, which of course local government is part of it, by our own arrangement in this part of the globe. So if you say local government is constitutionally recognized as a tier of government, then allow local government to be autonomous, performing those functions and areas of jurisdiction as allotted to it by the Constitution. So it means that local government should be independent. It means that nothing should be done to usurp the functions of local government. What we are seeing in Nigeria is the other side of it, where local government has become an appendage of the other tiers of government, and which is wrong, which is not expected to be. Remember that the same local government is part of the creation of federal government in order to enhance decentralization. There is a link between development and decentralization. The essence is to bring government closer to the rural people, and that should be done through the local government. So if local government is hindered from performing that function, then we are merely paying lip service to the development of rural communities. That's what it means. So I think that is important and quite instructive for us to understand the meaning of federalism. In fact, as it stands now, because local government is now an appendage of federal government, we're not practicing true federalism. For me, there is true federalism, because federal system of government has its own basic tenets you must respect all over the world. If you look at what is happening in America, you have that autonomy given to local government areas. Remember that in the First Republic, when we were actually practicing the real federalism, of course, the states, as at that time, was controlling, they were controlling their resources. They were. And they were merely paying royalties to the central coffer. The North was controlling granite, the East was controlling palm produce and palm oil, the West was controlling cocoa. In that spirit of federalism, the essence is that there should be a peer review mechanism where if each states are allowed to develop at their own pace, they will indirectly contribute to national development. That's what we're asking for. Right. And then there should be that kind of autonomy needed for them to operate. For instance, look at now in the federal system of government. The exclusive is almost over-bloated. The responsibilities, they are over-bloated. And what that means is that, you are taking away more from the local government. Look at the issue of resource control. The federal government now becomes the big brother that shares revenue from oil. It's a big sharer. In those days when we were in secondary school, those sharers, if you are a sharer, you have gotten a good, your meal is guaranteed. You always have larger share, because at the end of the day. So I think that we may have misunderstood the real meaning idea and the spirit behind federal system of government.
All right. Mr. George, what is your take?
I want to completely agree with that supervisor that misunderstood the real meaning of federalism.
Exactly.
The local government is the creation of the Constitution, and the federal government is also a creation of the Constitution. Now, the president, through his attorney general, understand that the state government are usurping the powers of the local government, and has decided to go to court for interpretation of what our Constitution says. So Okugbe misunderstood. What he is trying to bring here is what they have in different parts of the world, where they say the federalism is about the state and the federal. We have created another tier of government to be able to extend development to the grassroots. And it was through the Constitution. It is the creation of the Constitution, not by the whims and caprice of the president. That is why the federal government also gives them their location directly from. But unfortunately, they also do what they call joint account with the state. This is where some of the problem lies. Let the federal government, the amendment of the Constitution, also give them full autonomy that has to do with their money.
They try to do that, but there is a law. you know, the House of Assembly, the National Assembly did that one more than once actually, but it has to be ratified by the State House of Assembly, and it has to be 2/3 majority. And guess what? Only one, it was remaining just one state, and that law did not fly. You know, so there have been attempts, but the state houses of assembly did not ratify it in order for that bill to be passed into law. Probably that could inform why the federal government have decided to take the matter to court.
Like I said earlier, it appears that the drafters of the constitution wanted certain areas to fail from the beginning, because you know that the way politics is played today, even though they never envisaged it, most of the state assemblies are appendages to the executive arm of the government at the state level. So when the man who calls the shots wants something to happen, he lobbies his state assembly not to agree to that. It becomes a difficult thing. Why didn't the constitution that gave the federal government and the state government that autonomy also give the local government full autonomy, not half, full autonomy? You don't need to allow the state assembly to make laws. How do you get to third in Nigeria? It's very difficult. Because even if all the states in the southeast agree, the ones in the south agree, what about the north? Are they going to agree? What if they disagree? So you find it difficult to get that to third. It's difficult. That is why we're having these challenges.
Let's hope moving forward that, well, fingers crossed, we'll follow up the story as it develops, we'll bring it to you. Thank you so much, Associate Prof. Emmanuel Warner, for coming on Open Conversation. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much, George Chinda. It's always a pleasure having you. And interestingly, for the first time, George, I have two guests that agreed on literally all topics. So I mean, that's a first. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Open Conversation. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Ogu Laurentia Choma. Transition News comes up next. Do not go away.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news.